I'm 75 years old, and I need to tell you something about money that nobody told me. I was a millionaire at 30, broke at 60, and here's the thing that keeps me up at night. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a divorce or a lawsuit or a market crash. It was me. Every single decision was mine. And I'd make the same mistakes again if someone hadn't finally shown me what I was really doing. My name is David. I grew up in Milwaukee, 1950s. My dad worked at a brewery. My mom took in sewing. We weren't poor, but we counted everything. I remember my father cutting a dollar bill in half once to show me and my brother what we each got for allowance. He taped it back together later, but I never forgot that image. 2 pieces of $1. That was scarcity. So when I started making real money in my 20s, I was in commercial real estate development. Right place, right time. Late 70s, early 80s, I thought I'd escape that. I hit $1 million in net worth at 30 years old, 1984, and I remember thinking, I won. That was the word in my head. Won. Like life was a game, and I'd beaten it before most people even understood the rules. Here's what I believed about money back then. I believed money was points. The more points you had, the more you'd won. I believed that making money meant you were good with money. I believed that if you could earn it once, you'd always be able to earn it again. And I believe this is the big one, that once you had enough, you'd feel different. Secure, free, like you could finally relax. None of that was true, but I didn't know that at 30. At 30, I bought a house that cost 3 times what I needed to spend, not because I loved the house, because I loved what the house said about me. I drove a BMW 7 Series. I wore a Rolex. And here's the crazy part. I thought I was being smart. I'd tell myself, this is what successful people do. This is what wealthy looks like. I was confusing the costume with the character. I was spending like someone who had money, not like someone who was building wealth. There's a difference. And I didn't know it. The years went by. I made more. I spent more. I invested, sure, but I invested like I was playing poker, not building something permanent. High-risk deals, hot tips. I put money into a friend's restaurant, a tech startup, a real estate partnership in Florida with a guy I met at a conference. Some of them paid off. Most of them didn't. But here's what I never did. I never asked myself the one question that would have changed everything. What am I actually trying to build here? Not how much can I make? Not what's the upside? But what am I building and what do I need to protect it? I didn't have an answer because I'd never asked the question. My wife asked me once, 1991, we're sitting at the kitchen table going over bills, and she says, David, what's the plan? And I said, what do you mean, what's the plan? I'm making money. And she said, I know, but what are we doing with it? Where are we going? And I got defensive. I said, we have a beautiful home. We take vacations. What more do you want? She didn't say anything for a minute. Then she said, I want to know that if something happens to you or to your business, we'll be okay. And I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, nothing's going to happen. That conversation ended, but it should have been the beginning of something. It should have been the moment I woke up. But I didn't, because the money kept coming. And when the money keeps coming, you think you're immune. You think you're different. You think that might happen to other people, but not to me. Then the 90s end, 2000 hits. The market wobbles, but I'm fine. 2008 comes, and that wobble becomes a crash. I lose half my net worth in 18 months. But I tell myself it's temporary. I tell myself I'll make it back. And I double down. I borrow money to invest in a development deal that I'm sure is going to pay off. It doesn't. 2010, I'm 56 years old, and I've lost almost everything. Not everything, but most of it. The house is gone. The cars are gone. The retirement accounts I'd been pulling from, gone. And my wife, she stayed, God bless her, but something broke between us that never quite healed, because it wasn't just the money. It was the fact that I'd promised her security and I gambled it away. I'd treated our future like a bet, and I lost. Here's what I learned too late. Making money and keeping money are 2 completely different skills. And most people like me only learn the first one. We learn how to earn, we learn how to hustle, to close deals, to take risks, to push. But we never learn how to protect. We never learn how to say no. We never learn the difference between an asset and a liability. We never learn that the guy driving the paid-off Toyota might be wealthier than the guy leasing the Mercedes. And we never learn, this is the part that haunts me, that wealth isn't what you make. It's what you keep. It's what's still there when the market turns, when the deal falls through, when you get older and can't work the same hours. It's the boring stuff. The emergency fund, the diversified portfolio, the insurance, the paid-off house. It's not sexy. It doesn't impress anyone at a cocktail party, but it's what lasts. I met a guy a few years ago at a community center where I volunteer. His name was Tom. He'd worked as a union electrician his whole life. Never made more than $60,000 a year. And at 70 years old, he was fine. He had his pension, he had savings, he owned his home, he took his grandkids to baseball games. And I thought, this guy has more than I do, not in dollars and peace, in security, in the ability to sleep at night without wondering what's going to fall apart next. He built something. I made money. There's a difference. Now I'm 75. I'm not broke anymore. I work part-time. I live modestly. I get by, but I'll never have back what I lost. And I don't just mean the money. I mean the years my wife spent worrying. I mean the college fund I raided. I mean the retirement we were supposed to have. I mean the version of me that could have been calm and present and generous instead of always chasing the next thing. Because here's what nobody tells you about money. It's not about the money. It's about what the money lets you be. And if you don't have enough, real enough, secure enough, you can't be calm. You can't be present. You can't be generous. You're always in survival mode, even if you're living in a nice house and driving a nice car. Because deep down, it's all fragile. And that feeling never goes away until you build something real underneath it. So here's what I'd tell my 30-year-old self. If I could go back, stop performing wealth, start building it. Every dollar you spend to look successful is a dollar you don't have working for you. Every risk you take without a safety net is a gamble with your future. And every time you tell yourself, I'll make it back, you're lying. Because maybe you will, and maybe you won't. And by the time you find out, it might be too late. Learn the difference between making money and keeping money. Learn to say no. Learn that boring is beautiful when it comes to building wealth. And learn to ask yourself, not how much can I make, but what am I building and what do I need to protect it? That's the question I never asked. And it cost me 30 years. If you're young and you're making money and you think you've got it figured out, I thought the same thing. And I was wrong. If you're spending to keep up, to impress, to feel like you've made it stop, you're wearing a costume, take it off before it bankrupts you. If you think wealth is about how much you make, not how much you keep, you're headed exactly where I went. And trust me, you don't want to end up here. Look around your life right now. Are you building something or are you performing something? Are you protecting what you have or are you gambling with it? Are you thinking 10 years ahead or just 10 days? Because the choices you make today, they compound. And 30 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or you'll be sitting where I'm sitting, trying to warn someone else. I was a millionaire at 30, broke at 60, and the distance between those two things wasn't bad luck. It was a question I never asked. So I'm asking you now, what are you building and what are you doing to protect it? Don't wait until you're 75 to know the answer. Please, don't wait